Hello and welcome to Presscast. I'm Farbs, and in this episode, I'm joined by Razan Zuayter, Palestinian environmental activist out of Amman, Jordan, and we will be talking about one of my favorite subjects, the environment, nature, planting trees, and much more. So stay around. Ms. Zuayter, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure to have you here, especially after I realized the thing that you do is very close to my passion, protecting the nature and earth. And I really respect what you do. And let's start with that. If I'm not mistaken, you're the president of the Arab. Why don't you say it yourself? What is APN?
Okay, I am a founder and the current president of the Arab Group for the Protection of Nature. I call it a green movement that aims to um, protect our natural resources, mainly in the context of wars, occupation, and troubles.
So when I was reading about the bio of the APN, you mentioned that it's an Arab for Arab countries. So what are the Arab countries that you have your focuses on? I mean, I know it's Yemen, I know it's Palestine. Do you also focus on Syria and Iraq as well?
Yes, as I told you, the mandate is to address the environmental, agricultural, food security issues in the context of wars, occupation, and conflicts. So we are concerned in countries which live these conditions, and Palestine, the longest occupation, and the Iraq, of course, Yemen, Lebanon, Syria, and we are concerned about this in all the world. Actually, we're trying to connect and network with movements all around the globe to address these issues.
Before I get into the details of the programs that you run, your Million Tree Initiative, the Green Caravan, If Only You Know, and food sovereignty. These are the things that I found. You give us the complete list. But before we get to that, currently we collectively, as humans, are facing the looming crisis of the environmental crisis, the global warming. This adds to the pressure that you have already been sustaining because of the job that you've been doing. Now, this is very special moment. Why am I even speaking? I mean, I need you to tell us how different today's situation is different from like 15 years ago, 10 years ago.
Yes, I agree totally that things are worsened by from now as to before because of the climate change, because of the very criminal acts of corporates which are adding to the problem of the climate change, but also to militarism and the sustaining wars all over the world. You know, now it's not the aim is not to have a victory or to win a war, it's to sustain the war, and this is adding to the problems of environment and food security. So yes, it is escalating. The problem is escalating, and lots of efforts are needed to face these challenges. Mainly, it has to come from the grassroots, from the civil society, from the global solidarity movements to be able to face such greed and criminal acts.
So let's start with Palestine. What are the challenges, the environmental challenges persistent in Palestine? And what are your initiatives? What are your campaigns, plans to solve some of these problems?
You know, in Palestine, it's really the worst. All the problems of the world are aggravated in Palestine. You see, the attack on environment and agriculture is used as a weapon, destroying trees, destroying livelihoods. Water is used as a weapon. from our side, because we are concerned in the agricultural sector, we notice we have been, following up this since 20 years. The escalation in uprooting of trees is going very high. Now, in 10 years, around 3 millions and the half trees were uprooted. Um and here, why our campaign was thought of or was founded, the Million Tree Campaign, to address this challenge. We have also, they are destroying farms, animal farms, beehives. In Gaza, the latest attack on Gaza really was very obvious, attacking agriculture infrastructure. So the calculation was more than $200 million were lost in the 1 week attack on Gaza. Beehives were attacked, chicken farms, trees, vegetable fields. So it's an intentional war against livelihoods. So our campaign in Palestine is to rehabilitate these areas and sectors. At the same time, we are addressing the international and the regional platforms, trying to impact policies, trying to draw attention, raise awareness of these atrocities, and putting the priority of addressing food insecurity in the context of wars or occupation is one of our main aims and main objectives.
Talking about food insecurity, the first thing that comes to mind is Yemen. I mean, even before the start of the war, food was a great issue in Yemen, and children went went to bed without even having a proper meal the whole day before. And then right after the war, things got even worse, and it's worsened, and now they have all the types of disease. And so, what's the situation like in Yemen, and how do you reach to the people there?
We have founded a network. It's called the Arab Network for Food Sovereignty, uh, which is constituted of so many members of the Arab world, around 35 members of networks and unions and committees. And Yemen is also a member of our network. So we are on continuous coordination with our Yemenis friend. Yemen's agriculture was targeted also specifically as a weapon. We have researched this. We know that the attacks on farms and livelihoods were, intended, and it was a systematic attack on these livelihoods. And the hunger, let alone the diseases and the epidemics there, but the hunger is in Yemen is really, really very high. And we have done so many campaigns signed by hundreds of organizations, addressed to the UN, to governments, for calling for an immediate stop of war and attack on Yemen. But as you see, the world is blind and deaf, but the people will never give up. We are always trying to be in solidarity. We're trying to, knock at the doors. We'll never stop.
That's great. I mean, that's why we're still, as humans, are still living, and we're not extinct, because of the people like you that care about a lot of us. Um, I'm just curious. I know that in Gaza, a lot of people rely on the sea and fish to pass their days and as their income, and a lot of them should be farmers. Is this the same for the rest of the Palestinians in the occupied territories? Do they rely heavily on farms? And are they farmers?
Yes, originally it is, agriculture was very strong in before occupation in Palestine. Palestine used to export fruits, vegetables, even cotton, so many things. But the occupation, one of the strategies of occupation is to that the Palestinians leave agriculture and depend on the import and consumption of Israeli products. We're really opposing this, and we are strategizing in the other direction. People are coming back to agriculture now. We feel it has been, this intention to go back to their land accelerated after the COVID pandemic, and they realize better now that their sovereignty is impossible without their food sovereignty. And we are very happy to see the impact of our campaigns as well in Palestine. We have planted more than 2.5 million trees in the past 18 years, and we feel that people are going back to land, and they see it as part of their green resistance.
Wow. Um, Talking about the million tree campaign. Well, how many trees have you planted so far? And by the way, I love the slogan that they uproot one tree, we plant 10. I don't know what that is, but it's very beautiful. So how many trees have you planted, and how these things are done? Who does these things for you?
Okay, there is a process. We have planted 2.5 million trees till now. We aim to plant more millions. That's why we are campaigning all over the world now to help us in our campaign. The process is simple. We are fundraising. We are managing the project as to putting the criteria of choosing farmers, land, where can we plant. We partner with organizations and nurseries inside Palestine. We have now excellent partners. We have a representative office now in Palestine, and we have, as I told you, guidelines of how to choose farmers and how to choose. We intend to plant lands which are, uh, you know, um, threatened by confiscation from settlements and so on. We intend to plant lands which are owned by families of prisoners or martyrs, or the most vulnerable sectors of the Palestinian people. We choose, but we have a participatory approach. We are partners with our people inside. We don't see them as needy or poor. We see them as freedom fighters. So we learn from them, and the agriculture in Palestine, it's as in Iraq and Iran. It has a beautiful heritage, and the knowledge is you know inherited from one generation to the other. So we learn a lot from them. We are kind of managing this project and fundraising for it. And as I told you, we our work is parallel between rehabilitation and between trying to impact policies and raise awareness in the world about what's happening. And I want to tell you that it started by tree planting, but now we are trying to work in a wider circle. We're trying to supply beehives, fisher nets, goats, sheep, wherever, whatever is needed to support food sovereignty in Palestine. We go to support the farmers to access production needs, seeds, hives. Also, we think that the our work is now impactful also in Jordan. We have our own, we have a campaign in Jordan also to plant trees, especially in the Jordan Valley. The Jordan Valley is also threatened from the Israelis all the time. And the farmers are extremely marginalized there. So our campaign in Jordan is also a success, alhamdulillah. We are also trying to support, as I told you, our members and farmers in the Arab region. And that's why now we are planning for a project which is called the Tree Path, which is to take the Palestine campaign as a pilot, and the Jordanian one, and then to start moving from one country to the other advocating for food sovereignty in the Arab world. We unfortunately, and I feel we have no sovereignty, political sovereignty in the Arab world, mainly because we don't produce our own food. So we dream that the region will start producing their wheat, their food, and this will enable them to have a political sovereignty over their resources and their future.
Inshallah. One technical question, because coincidentally, my wife also works in the tree planting industry with
Oh,
one
wow.
with one very different big difference, which is that they charge for it, but you do it for free. But one major problem in that line is irrigation. So planting a tree is one thing, and keep it alive is a much more difficult task. So how do you do that? I mean, who's responsible? Do you also do that, or yourself? Do you take care of the trees until they're fully grown and they can survive, or how does it work?
By experience and trial and error, we reached the conclusion that the best thing is to uh, concentrate our efforts with farmers that they are keen to look after the trees. So we help marginalized farmers who are ready to take care of their trees and sustain them. We help them sometimes with the irrigation systems, with the extension information knowledge, in water management and agricultural techniques when needed. As I told you, the farmers, we learn from them, but we help them. We give them access to the technical advancements and so on. But the effort to sustain these trees is on the farmers themselves. It's an income for them, and they have to take care of it. Many times we ask them to give a small portion, pay a small portion for the trees so that they can understand the value of the work, and they can assist other farmers as well.
One last three questions. Are they all fruit trees, or are they different trees? I mean,
They are they are mostly fruit trees. Even the forest trees, we try to choose the trees that are beneficial economically for people. Like the carob, for example, it can be food, and it can be a forestry. Yes, we are concentrating on food security trees that they give economic value to the farmers and to the marginalized citizens.
so what about your background? I mean, how did you get interested in all these things? The agriculture, nature. What did you study?
Um, it's I find myself very connected to land. I was asked this question several times. I think myself being uprooted from Palestine uh, made me closer to nature and land. So and the people who bring life to us. So I chose this specialization, and I studied agriculture in the American University of Beirut. After doing an aptitude test, and the test assured me that I am more happy with working with the land and with the people of the land. So I started studying this field, and the moment I could stand on my feet and have produce a family and educate them, I found out that I should use this knowledge to support the causes and the rights of the people in this region. And that's why I was looking at the Intifada uh, year 2000 in Palestine, when, if you remember, Muhammad Durra was shot in the laps of his father. And I thought, what can we do to support Palestine? And at the same time, we saw farmers on the TV crying for their trees uprooted. So it all came together that um, a tree might be the start of a green resistance that is reachable by all of us. All of us can plant a tree. All of us can dream of having a tree in Palestine. It started this way, and it seems people really appreciated this idea. And alhamdulillah, the movement is growing, and the support is growing, and the anger of our enemies is growing as well.
So you have been to Iran.
Yes, I was very young. We lived in Tehran for 2 years, and I went again to Tehran for a Jerusalem day. In Tehran, I was invited, and I had the honor to address the people. My father he wrote a book called The Palestinian Question that was translated by Rafsanjani, and
Wow.
I visited the
No
Rafsanjani
idea.
family.
I had no idea. Wow.
You didn't have
Wow. I will look that up,
yeah.
information.
And I heard they are teaching the book in some of your schools.
Wow. Wow. I really need to update my information about that. I have to start looking into this. Very interesting. Actually, I'm doing it right now. I shouldn't be doing it right now, but oh my God.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
My daughter, which is she's a landscape architect, uh, decided to go with friends to visit the gardens of Iran, and she came with a beautiful collection of information and photos, and she did a presentation for the engineers here in Jordan, and it was stunning. The people were they felt they know very little about Iran, about the culture, about the beautiful architecture and the landscaping. So we should build bridges between all of us to know more about each other.
Exactly. I mean, our region has been unfairly divided by the colonial powers, like at the beginning of the 20th century, and then this divide sometimes is growing. I mean, with no exterior motive. I mean, we are very close to one another more than we realize. I mean, we just start to sit down and talk to one another, share a meal to realize how close we are. And our problems are also shared problems because Iran, as you know, it is also a vast country with a lot of environmental challenges that we need to address immediately before it becomes a crisis. Um, but overall, it was great to have you here, Ms. Zaita. I really enjoyed talking to you, and I wish for all of us that we can live in a better environment, on a healthier earth, hopefully. But before I end it, I need you to say all your ending words, the things that I might have missed asking you. So please end the show for us, if possible.
I uh, I would like to end it by saying that we can make it. We never should surrender to uh, uh, despair. We are the cradle of civilizations, all of us here in this region. We There's a psychological war to make us feel that we are impotent. We should never give up. We should work in solidarity, and I can see the light. And I salute Iran for their courage to stand up despite all these pressures. I think the light is coming.